This episode, we're going to be taking a look at the importance of numbers, and in particular, we're going to be looking at our ruling numbers. In numerology, your ruling number helps you understand your life purpose. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mary Fielder. I'm a holistic health professional and a light worker. My mission is to help people find the light within and learn how to shine brightly as our world passes through chaos on its way to the golden age, which we are all here bringing about. Numbers have resonance. They are like golden keys that unlock potentials and reveal energies within themselves. We need numbers for everything. Mathematics and arithmetic are fundamental building blocks of all scientific and engineering endeavors. We find number patterns repeating in nature, in all the creations of the universe, and we use numbers for the simple things of life, like figuring out what day it is, what time of day it is, when we were born, how old we are, how much we get paid, how much our groceries cost, and so on. We can't live without numbers. David Phillips wrote a book called The Complete Book of Numerology. David was, like me, an expert in health and nutrition, and he learned numerology after someone gave him a numerology reading. He was so struck with the truth in the reading that he decided to explore numerology himself and subsequently became one of the leading numerologists of our time. In his book, he says the following: "Within each person is a beautiful light waiting to shine forth, a magnificent being aching for expression. That is the inner self, our individuality, our essential uniqueness." The inner light David spoke of is represented by your soul number, sometimes called your inner personality number, and it's found in the vowels of your name. I'll show you how to do it at the end of this episode. The words resonate deeply with my own message and my mission to help individuals find and reveal the light within. And one way to explore that light is to look at the numbers in our birth date and in our name. So we're going to be looking at 4 numbers: our ruling number, our personality number, our soul number, and our destiny number. Remember that part of our life challenge on Earth is to integrate both sides of our being, our yang, which is the outward presenting side of ourself, which we call here the personality, and the yin, the softer side, you could say the underbelly, which we sometimes do not reveal to the world because it makes us feel vulnerable. That's our soul number. And yet, within the yin energy, we often find our brightest light. Pythagorean is the father of modern numerology. He lived approximately 500 to 600 years before the birth of Christ. Legends surround his birth and his lineage, suggesting that he might be part human, part god, and a descendant of Apollo and Jupiter. He took a keen interest in mathematics and science from a very early age, and was extremely intelligent. Like all the great philosophers and religious figures in our history, Pythagoras spent many years studying. He had a great mind, to be sure, but all great minds are refined and enhanced through studying the ancient mysteries. It is said that Pythagoras studied the mysteries of Isis for 22 years with the priests of Thebes in ancient Egypt. This formed just a part, albeit a significant part, of his overall studies. The cornerstone of their teachings was that within man is a hidden light. This light dwells in every man and woman, no matter how humble or how noble they might be, and we can kindle that light by bringing out the best in ourselves and others. So all this time ago, at least 2,500 years, and actually much longer ago than that, this information has been occulted, hidden from us. It's time we learned of our inner light and our ability to shine. And that is what this channel is all about. We are the great light rising. The light is in each one of us, and we are learning to shine that light into the darkness, annihilating things of the dark, including negativity, depression, anxiety, and disease. This idea is also reflected in the Hindu saying Namaste, which means the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. The word Namaste comes from Sanskrit, the language of antiquity in the East. Pythagoras wished to share his gift for mathematics, and so he created a school, and he was very strict about who he allowed into his school and how he allowed them to behave. Numerology was only one of the subjects that he taught in his school, but it was a cornerstone, a mandatory subject. I'm not going to get into that too much here, however, I just wanted to lay the foundation for where our modern science of numerology comes from, because it's not something that New Age has made up. All the talk about angel numbers and the like is not just some New Age thing that has no basis in science, although you do have to be discerning about the source of what you read and how knowledgeable the author of the material, because not all information is good information, as we know. And I'm calling it science because in ancient times, numerology was very much considered a science, even though today it's not taken so seriously in the scientific world. There's not a scientist in existence who is not using the mathematics of Pythagoras in some way, but very few of them understand the importance and the background of that magic formula, the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem is used to measure the sides of a triangle, but that was just an offshoot, a byproduct of the work Pythagoras was doing with numerology and arithmetic. You see, modern culture has decided what is science and what is not, but the ancients knew better and had a much broader perspective on metaphysical aspects of science than we do today. Metaphysics, astrology, and mathematics were all more closely integrated in the ancient world. Ancient philosophers were experts in all those things, not just in what we consider to be philosophy today. The word itself, philosophy, means love of learning through the pursuit of wisdom. So Pythagoras already has credibility in our culture for his influence on trigonometry, geometry, and arithmetic, and he is the primary source for the science of numerology, but he's not the only source. Numerology also has roots in the Kabbalah, the secret mystery schools of ancient Judaism, including the teachings of the Essenes, which is a sect that Jesus belonged to. Using numerology, we can get insights not just into who we are as individuals, but it can also give us insights into who other people are, just from their name or their birthday. If you have someone's birthday or their first name, you can learn a lot about them. What I like about being able to get insights like this is because it helps us understand people. If someone is a ruling 4, for example, they like order and organization. They probably arrive to their appointments on time, but they have a hard time dealing with sudden changes in schedule. If someone is a ruling 2, they lead from the heart. They are compassionate, caring, and often psychic, or at least highly intuitive, but they may not show up when you expect them to because they live with their heads in the clouds. When you know these traits are innate in someone, when you know it's part of their makeup and they can't change the way they are, then it makes it easier to get along with them, to understand them, and even to work with them and accept them just the way they are. So we'll get into the properties of all the numbers in just a bit, but let's get started with how you do it. Let's start with your birth date. This gives you what we call our ruling number. It's also called the life lesson number, because this is the lesson you are working on in this lifetime. So you might want to grab a pencil and paper for this exercise. If you're driving or listening to this episode as a podcast, you might want to just save it for later when you can sit down and take a look at this more closely. Start by writing out your birthday, use the number for the month, include the zeros and all 4 numbers in the birth year. So if you are born on January the 11th, 1999, write out 01111999. Then add up the numbers. Arithmetic is amazing and crazy, so you can add them up in any order you like. You'll always get the same answer. I like to add the numbers up with the month first, so in this case, January, it's just a 1, and then the numbers in the date. The example I've given you is 11, so in this case the number 11, and that's comprised of 2 1s. If you add up those, 1 plus 1, you get 2. Then you add up the year, so in our example, 1 plus 9 plus 9 plus 9 equals 28. We'll reduce that number 28 to a single digit by adding up 2 plus 8, and we get 10. And then we reduce the 10 by adding the 1 and the 0, and we get 1. So your year number is a 1. So now we have 1 for the month, 2 for the date, and 1 for the year. 1 plus 2 plus 1 equals 4. So the person born on January the 11th, 1999 is a ruling number 4. Somebody with a ruling 4 is working on the life lesson of becoming very organized and building a strong foundation in their life. We're going to look at all the numbers in just a minute. We can look deeper into this example though and see that they have the number 11 in their birthday. The numbers 11, 22, 33 and 44 have special meanings. We call these master numbers. The number 11 is the number of the light worker. It indicates a deep spiritual seeker. It is also a 2 because 1 plus 1 equals 2, and that is yin energy, the intuitive energy. So we know this person is intuitive, spiritual, and working on their life management skills. When you are adding up the numbers, look for instances of the master numbers as well to get an even deeper insight. Let's go even deeper into this person's birth date and take a look at the individual digits in the birth date. The numbers 1 and 9 dominate this person's birth chart. In fact, those are the only numbers in this particular birth date. 1 is yang energy, the self, and also the ego. So this person is likely to be quite a strong personality and is either very confident in themselves or not at all confident. Confidence is a characteristic of the 1. It is likely that if they are a younger person, they're still finding their confidence, but they may have an air of bravado about them that makes them appear confident or even egotistical. But underneath, they are still struggling to find their worth. As their life progresses, they will learn genuine self-assurance. So when you're looking at the ruling number in particular, remember that the qualities of that number are emerging within the person, and they may start out on the negative end of the scale, and as they move through their life, they will encounter challenges that beckon them to evolve into the fullest expression of the number. Do you see how that works? So keep that in mind when you're looking at the numbers. It's not just what number, but whether that number is a ruling number, a soul number, a personality number, or a destiny number. So we'll be looking at all that as we go along. 9 is the last number. It is the attainment of self, and so it is a number that represents humanitarianism and idealism, as well as a high level of intelligence. We find this person to be a strong yet caring individual who strives for high ideals. And there might be some strong ego there too. So this person has some challenges, as we all do. They might suffer from being over-idealistic and not realistic enough. It's because of the 9s. These are watch points we can look for. When you combine the ruling number 4, someone who's good at planning, organizing and managing, with many 1s, assertive and seeking their confidence, we see that this person is striving to be a strong leader. They may not be a very effective leader yet. Further, because there is an odd number of 9s, this person is probably working on some imbalances or challenges in those areas. They are refining those abilities in this lifetime. These are watch points that we can look for. When you have more than one of the same number in your birth date, odd numbers can mean you are striving for balance, and even numbers can mean that you are well balanced. So look at how much we found out about this person just by looking at their birthday. Let's go through the numbers now. Now, in an episode like this, I can only be brief, but if you find this subject interesting, you can get a good book on numerology and get deeper into it yourself. When you start to slice and dice the numbers, it can be very revealing. As you learn about what the numbers mean, remember that they are tempered by the other numbers in the name, as we showed in the example with the 1s and the 9s. Number 1. 1 is about the self, the ego, the yang. People with a ruling 1 are learning to be assertive individuals. This may present as being egotistical or arrogant. As they grow, they will simply be more sure of themselves. Ruling number 1s can be good leaders, but they sometimes forget to carry people along with them as they charge ahead. Their life lesson is the exploration of self as an individual. A ruling 1 will have unique challenges in society because they can seem self-absorbed and inconsiderate. They don't necessarily wish to be inconsiderate, but they are focused on their own experience, with little energy to focus on the experience of others. Through exploring self, they are also exploring the God energy, the unity consciousness. but their expression of that may present to the world as controlling or dominating. On the other hand, they are often very independent pioneers. They make great entrepreneurs. They are not afraid to forge new pathways and often have a lot of raw creative talent. In the tarot, the 1 is the magician, the archetypal master of creation, and a ruling 1 is learning to be exactly that. 2 is the yin. This number is about the hidden side of ourselves, our inner self. 2 is the gateway to the soul plane. People with a ruling 2 are intuitive, sometimes psychic, caring, and gentle. They may be hard to reach or understand because they keep something hidden within themselves. People with a ruling 2 are exploring what lies behind the veil and in the depths of their soul. They can be mystical, spiritual, or seem uninterested in the goings-on of ordinary life. They are typically people who will enjoy one-on-one interaction and may seem aloof, but this is because they're focused inwardly on their inner spiritual journey. They're simply not focused on the world outside, and often they might have trouble navigating the outside world. However, they are very dear and compassionate people with deep insights into what makes people tick. In the tarot, the 2 is the high priestess, the powerful psychic intuitive who can draw from the wisdom found beyond the veil. And that is what a ruling 2 is working on becoming. If 1 is the yang and 2 is the yin, 3 is the integration of mind, body, and spirit. It is often seen as the number of teamwork. You might find that one day they are cooperating, but on another day they are struggling with independence. People with a 3 ruling number can be intelligent and sometimes serious people who operate primarily from the mental plane, but who are searching for happiness and joy. They can be either the life of the party or the exact opposite, the wallflower, the observer of people, as they are learning to integrate and balance aspects of mind, body, and soul. 3 is known as a catalytic number. It's frequently the number of change or the number of manifestation. Ruling 3s are creative, sometimes scattered, and sometimes have difficulty focusing or organizing. Remember, that comes next in the number 4. The flip side of the number 3 is that they might have periods of working through depression. We have to experience what we don't want in order to find out what we do want. And the positive expression of the 3 is someone who's just a pleasure and a joy to be around. A good conversationalist, intelligent, funny, with a positive outlook. In the tarot, the 3 is the Empress, the mother of all creation and fertile master of manifestation in the earthly plane, at peace with nature and her power within it. If your ruling number is a 4, you're building your foundation and the structure you want for your life, as well as for your emotional security. This is inclusive of career, living arrangements, personality, the people you want in your life, your moral compass, what you believe, what you feel about life, and so on. You're exploring organization and good management, sound financial planning, and so on. This might be at work or in your personal life or both. Challenges will be things that rock your boat and threaten your security, especially your financial security, but also your organizational abilities. You may start out in life being someone who rushes at the last minute to a deadline, and over time you find it's much less stressful just to do the work up front and be ready ahead of schedule. Or you might be someone who is always late, always unorganized, arriving to a party without a gift, etc. And over time you become a master planner, someone who is always organized and on time, who is relied on for getting on with things and getting things done. In the tarot, 4 is the Emperor, the master ruler, who is at the top of his game and always knows the right thing to do. If you are a ruling number 5, you're working on personal freedom of expression in lifestyle and all things you. Your life is an adventure, and you are sure to take many adventures, both planned and spontaneous. You're hard to pin down, and some would think you're flighty, rebellious, and unpredictable. Your greatest challenge is conforming to the societal pressures and doing what you are supposed to do, rather than what you would prefer to do. You are challenged by external events that threaten your freedom, and try to bring you back into the fold, which is where you do not wish to be. This can create upheaval and demand flexibility to roll with the punches and flow where the tide is taking you. Your life lesson is about finding the balance with your restless soul and learning to hold your light independently with grace and poise, rather than rocking everyone else's boat. Through this lesson, you will become a great sage and a wise leader. In the tarot, the 5 is the Hierophant, who is a spiritual leader. The Hierophant is someone who is both a great teacher and a great student, always learning, always open to the wisdom of the universe, and able to guide others who are seeking the path of light. In the tarot, the 6 is the Lover's card. Some people interpret this as a relationship card, but the true essence of the number 6 is the integration back to the oneness, the union of mind, body, and soul, and returning to the Christ light, where we are all one. In a practical sense, a ruling number 6 is someone who is community-minded and a great person to have in your acquaintance, because they're always thinking about the common good and are the least self-centered of all the numbers. If you're a ruling number 6, it's all integrating inside you now. You are learning to integrate what your heart wants with what your logical or your ego mind wants. You are someone who enjoys being involved in community projects and might be active locally or politically or in some community cause or other. Relationships come easily to you, and you easily find the right balance or compromise that make relationships work. And so in the younger part of your life, this might be your biggest challenge. It might seem that all your relationships fall apart or are challenged by things beyond your control, but as time goes by, you'll become better and better at this. If your ruling number is a 7, you are working on spiritual wisdom. 7 is an important number in the metaphysical world. There are 7 days in the week, 7 primary chakras, 7 colors of the rainbow, 7 seas, 7 dwarfs. Okay, that one doesn't really count. Or does it? There's hidden meaning in many things. Anyway, a ruling 7 is very keen on learning from their own experiences. They don't want to read about it in books or listen to the wisdom of their elders. They are here to have their own experiences. This is sometimes why it seems like they have to continuously rebuild their life, because experiences will knock them back down to the beginning and they'll have to start all over. A ruling 7 is challenged to make sacrifices for the common good, something they take quite seriously because they have a highly religious or spiritual nature. And on the flip side, the risk for the 7 is becoming too martyr-like, where they give all their energy to others and don't do enough to nurture their own well-being. To sum up, as the life lesson unfolds, a ruling 7 is gathering wisdom through experience, and there might just be a spiritual revolution going on inside of you. So sometimes religion and spirituality are in conflict with each other, but within the number 7, you could be either very religious or very spiritual, or both. In the tarot, the 7 is the Chariot. In this card, we see the rider perfectly balancing the energies of the yin, symbolized by the black horse, and the yang, symbolized by the white horse. Sometimes you need a little more of one, and sometimes you need a little more of the other. But learning to keep the Chariot, which symbolizes you, the chariot is you, your life, keeping that chariot on the right path, you have to learn to loosen one side of the reins and tighten the other at critical times. So 7 is finding that balance through experience. If your ruling number is an 8, you are working on establishing your power, and you are on the path to success. 8 is a heady number, and it has the potential for success and abundance on many levels. In the tarot, the 8 is the Strength card. In the Strength card, the character uses the power of her mind to tame a wild beast. In some decks, it is the Justice card. The judge sits on a throne with the sword of truth in one hand and the balance scales in the other hand, seeking truth and finding the balance of what works and what doesn't work is the energy here. The sword can be both a weapon that cuts you to the quick or a tool that cuts the ties that hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself. A ruling 8 is likely to be on the path to good fortune and a powerful career or powerful accomplishments in life. Sometimes the ruling 8 might be seen as ruthless, cruel, and demanding. A child who is a ruling 8 knows what they want and somehow always seems to get their way. Even though the parents try hard not to spoil the child, a willful ruling 8 will always get what they want. 8s make the best leaders. 8 is a double 4. They have all the organizational and management skills of a ruling 4, along with the knowledge and confidence in their own sense of leadership and power. They're very charismatic. People will follow a ruling 8 to the ends of the earth because they positively exude charisma, confidence, and authority. 9 is the last number. After 9 comes 10, which is a repetition of the number 1. So someone with a ruling number 9 is working on tying up loose ends and putting the final puzzle pieces into place in this mystery that we call life. They can be concluding lessons that they have been working on across multiple lifetimes. Ruling 9s are highly intelligent. This is the last number in the mind plane, meaning that they are intellectual, they love learning new things, and they are always hungry for knowledge. They soak up knowledge like a sponge soaks up water. They are also very idealistic. If anyone ever dreamed of utopia and tried to make it happen, it is probably a ruling number 9. Reality can be depressing for this ruling number. In addition to being idealistic, they are also humanitarian and compassionate. A person with a ruling 9 will have their empathic heart tugged this way and that way whenever they learn about the suffering of others. They may need to do a lot of self-nurturing and pulling back their energies. If they don't learn to do this, the sensitive ruling 9 may be tempted to drown their feelings in alcohol or drug addiction so that they can tune out the harsh realities of life. The 9 in the tarot is the hermit, the ultimate seeker of the wisdom that can only be found within. The hermit emerges from his cave carrying his light. Once you have found your own light within, you emerge from the cave, ready to share your newfound wisdom with others. You become the light, the path, and the way. This is the mission of the 9. Not necessarily a great leader, but a wonderful role model and a teacher for those who seek the truth within themselves. You will notice that if you add the numbers in your name and birthday in different ways, they will always reduce to the same number. Of course, logically, that's the only thing that makes sense. So you can add up all the numbers all together, day, month, and year, and then reduce that number. Or you can add up the month, the day, and the year separately, coming up with 3 different numbers, and then add those numbers up and reduce them to a single digit, and you'll still get the same ruling number. Let's talk about 0, because mathematically 0 is not a number, but something more of a facilitator or a marker. Mathematicians can actually argue all day long about the 0 and what it means and whether it's even necessary. When arithmetic was first a thing here on Earth, they didn't even have 0. It was invented somewhere along the way. In numerology, 0 is not used. We use the digits from 1 to 9, and all numbers are added up and then reduced by adding the digits as we have been doing here. However, some people will inevitably have zeros in their birth chart. If you are born in the first 9 days of the month or the first 9 months of the year, or in a year with zeros such as 1990 or 2000, then you're going to have zeros in your numbers. Zeros are considered null, they are just not counted. But if we think about each digit being an energy influence, then if you have a lot of zeros in your numbers, you are missing some of these influences that you might have needed to fulfill your life mission. Sometimes these people will have very long names, or their names might be spelled differently from the normal spelling. This is because they need to make up some of the influences missing in their birth date. Other times, these people might be advanced souls who already come with lots of knowledge in their soul. A soul number is going to be different from the same ruling number. For example, a ruling number 3 is looking for the path to manifest what makes them happy, whereas a soul number 3 has already learned how to find their happiness and is a more content person deep down inside. Similarly, an outer personality number 3 may appear to the outside world to be happy, but depending on their ruling number and soul number, they may have other challenges that they are wrestling, and the appearance of being happy might be a facade. So keep these nuances in mind as you look at the numbers in yourself and others. Let's look now at finding your soul number and your personality number. Write out the numbers from 1 to 9. Then, starting with the letter A, write out the first 9 letters of the alphabet under the numbers. Starting again under the 1, write the next 9 numbers and continue until all the letters of the alphabet have been assigned. Now, write out your full name as it appears on your birth certificate. Using the grid that we just built, look up the numeric value of each of the vowels in your name. If you have a Y in your name, Y is a consonant, but if it occurs in a syllable in which there are no other vowels, then it counts as a vowel. For example, in the name Mary, we see 2 syllables, me-ri. The syllable ri has no vowels, and so Y is counted as a vowel. In the name Yolanda, the syllables are yo, lan, da. In the syllable yo, we see that O is the vowel, and so Y remains a consonant. Do you get it? It's important because this small change will change your numbers. When you add up all the vowels in your full name as given at birth and then reduce them to a single digit, this is your soul number, your inner light, your hidden personality. When you add up all the consonants in your full name as given at birth and then reduce them to a single digit, this is your outer personality number, or simply your personality number, and it is the you that you present to the world, the first impression people get of you, and how most people see you. They don't see the inner personality. That's the part of you that you get to reveal as they get to know you. When your inner and outer personality numbers are the same, you're very balanced and integrated. What you see is what you get. No hidden twists and turns to your personality. No skeletons in the closet. You put it all out there, and people appreciate that they know where they are with you, for better and sometimes for worse. But if your inner and outer personality numbers are different, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have something to hide. It might mean that you're someone who it simply takes a little time to get to know, and it might be, depending on what numbers come up for you, it might be that you are naturally more of a reserved or secretive person due to not wanting to appear too vulnerable by putting all of yourself out there. Remember, we talked about the ruling number being the life lesson number, the qualities an individual is working on in this lifetime, and that the person may reflect a negative end of the spectrum at the beginning of their life, moving, hopefully, to a more positive expression of the number as they overcome life challenges. The soul number and personality number are more stable numbers. The soul number reflects who someone is at their core, the essential you. The soul number represents lessons your soul has learned throughout other lifetimes. The personality number is especially applicable to this lifetime, to who you are this time around, and thus it may evolve slightly too as you become a better version of yourself, but the essential qualities won't change significantly. You are who you are. You may mellow over time, but the leopard cannot change his spots. Once a leopard, always a leopard. Our inner and outer personality numbers are like this. Now that you know your soul number and your personality number, if you add those two together, you will get your destiny number. The destiny number, therefore, represents the sum of all the letters in your given birth name. Your destiny number is who you are bound to become, or what you are bound to achieve. It offers a deeper exploration of the life lesson. So you can explore the individual numbers on your own, in your name and your birthday, by buying books on numerology or going online. Remember to use your discernment. Not everything you read online is a good source of information. And when you put your whole picture together, you'll see where your destiny path is leading you. You'll see what you're working on, what tools you brought with you in the numbers, the combinations of numbers in your name. Here is a little trick. It's not really a trick. Here's a little strategy, I guess, that I use sometimes when I'm meeting somebody for the first time. I would take a look, and when you get introduced to them, you might only catch their first name. So you can take a look at their first name, and you can go ahead and translate the letters into numbers, and then using the chart I gave you or using what you found on your own, You can look at the sort of layout of their name and get an insight into their character. So I'll just give you 2 examples of that, and then we'll wrap it up for now. In the name Aaron, we have the following numbers: 1 + 1 + 9 + 6 + 5. Adding up those numbers, we get 22. This happens to be a master number, the master builder. But also, it adds up to a 4. 2 + 2 = 4. So the name Aaron is a 4. Now, this is not his ruling number, but it's definitely one of the influences in his life. So we know that Aaron likes to be well organized and plan things out. We also know he's good at it because his name has a master number 22, the master builder. We also see 2 leading 1s in the double A. This means that Aaron might be into himself, so to speak. He might be caught up in his own journey and not very well attuned to the needs of others. That's the energy in the number 1. If we make sudden changes to Aaron's schedule, he might have trouble with that because he likes to stay organized and he plans ahead. So a good way of working with Aaron is to give him some advance notice of any upcoming changes, if possible. However, when we give him a task, we know he'll get the job done. Let's look at another one, Evelyn. The numbers here are 5 + 4 + 5 + 3 + 7 + 5. Those numbers add up to 29. 2 + 9 = 11. 1 + 1 = 2. So the name Evelyn adds up to the master number 11, the spiritual seeker, and also the number 2, the yin. So right away, we know that Evelyn is intuitive. She may also be on a spiritual path. Her leading letter is a 5, and in fact, she has 3 5s in her first name. So we know that Evelyn has a bit of a rebellious heart. She likes freedom and adventure, and she won't be boxed in, although she will try to be flexible and accommodating. However, she's much more likely to be spontaneous and open to change than Aaron. However, if she ends up working for Aaron, she might find him a bit bossy because he's got those leading 1s and she has the rebellious heart. So do you see how this works? Well, you can do this with the people you meet, people you already know, and test it out for yourself, and people you're meeting for the first time to give you a little bit of insight as to who they might be. Of course, the first name is just a small part of their overall number picture, but it can still be very insightful. And if you happen to know their birthday, you can only do the ruling number if you have their whole birthday. So you have to know what year they were born and not just the month and date. That won't work. Okay, so that's all for now. I hope that this helps you find your hidden light and also the hidden light within others, and has perhaps inspired you to look more deeply into the science of numerology. Let me know in the comments what needs clarification or if it helped you in some way. Until next time, my friends, walk in the light because you are the great light rising.